Hello there, Bick Benedict here. We're playing Gears of War 4 on Inconceivable difficulty. This is my PC guide for the solo campaign. We are currently on Act 4-5. It's the last chapter of the fourth act. The next chapter will be the first act of the fifth and final act. This is 4-5 Storm Warning. So you've got a really long fight at first, and if you remember, ended up coming into this level with a long shot, and I think I remember at least suggesting it to folks to pick up. And I understand if you had to reset the checkpoint, or excuse me, reset the chapter for some reason. So I was debating about whether to use the long shot or not, because I know not everybody might not have it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use it at my own discretion, but bear in mind that the things that you're seeing me do over here, they can be accomplished with the normal Lancer or the hammer burst. I mean, if you start the level with the shotgun over here, it's going to be pretty difficult, because the shotgun is, for strictly close range combat, and you want to keep your distance on this part, because you've got a pair of scions with mulchers down the way, as well as you saw the two guys with the torque bows, as well as other drones, and it's a hard fight. I mean, we're at the last, we're getting near the end of the game. The chapters are going to get more difficult, and that just stands to reason, doesn't it? I mean, oughtn't the game get a little bit harder as you get near the end? I feel that it should. So basically, the saving grace about the scions, yes, there's two of them, and yeah, they do put a lot of pressure on you, but they're very slow moving enemies that don't cover much ground, and before they get to where you're located, it's almost impossible that you wouldn't be able to kill them. So I know that I use the long shot, and it's a very strong weapon, and I potentially had an advantage that you might not have over here. So I do invite you, if you're looking for a different strategy where I don't use the long shot, I have an insane difficulty guide walkthrough in my playlists, and I definitely don't have the long shot on that. So I have a different strategy on my other playlist. So if you're having trouble with this, and what I'm showing you is just not working for you, because on my other guide, I ran up to the shed over there to the right, where I'm right about where I'm aiming right now, and there's an area there with a buzzkill, a Marksa, and I think a frag grenade or something like that. But the whole standing your ground at first is very helpful, because if you come down here, you've got the ambient effects of the weather to deal with, and it slows you down at times, and it's very difficult to survive this if you haven't cleared up the bulk of the enemies before you push forward. It can be done, though, and it's not even close to impossible. On my other guide, I think I just restarted this chapter from scratch. So again, if you're having trouble, I am sorry that I'm using the long shot, and that's just one of the hazards of making a walkthrough. Some people, they just can't be served by what you're showing them, and it's not their fault, really. I mean, I guess it's 50-50, but I will take the bulk of the responsibility, though. In most cases, I will say to myself, if I'm having an advantage that a player might resent, and that might actually not help him, because what's the point of watching the video if it can't be helping you get through the part, right? So check out my insane walkthrough, because I do a little bit of frag tagging. I use the Marksa, and I definitely don't rely on any long-range weapons like the long shot. What I do on my other project was I frag tagged over the area where I knew that the scions mantled over a piece of cover, and I used that to weaken them and so forth. And I definitely lived more dangerously on my last playthrough, but you have to remember that this is a difficult, it's a hard section, and this is increased damage that we're receiving on this difficulty. So one has to make precautions. And the precaution I took is, I've hardly ever used the long shot. I've always pretty much hated it. But and the reason why I hate it is because, first of all, I'm not very good at aiming precisely, and I'm not blaming my controller or anything like that. Although it is a detriment to use a controller versus keyboard and mouse. I personally can't use a keyboard and mouse. My brain doesn't work that way. I can't function like that. So I can only ever use a controller for every one of my projects. Since I'm not good at precision aiming, I'm embarrassed about using the weapon. But I've gotten better. I've gotten better, despite the significant amount of sway that happens when enemies hit you while you're aiming in with a long shot. Okay, so once everybody is cleared, what you want to do is just do your circuit around the entire area, pick up exactly what you want. I would see pretty much the goal from the point that you start this level to the time where you fight the boss at the end is you want to have max out torque bow rounds to help you out to deal the most damage to the hyper brumac or whatever it is. It's some kind of a heavy brumac, like an ultra brumac with lackeys. So, from what I remember, 12 is the maximum quantity that you can carry with a torque bow. I don't think that it's been altered for this difficulty. So, anyway, when you push up here, there's going to be a couple of juvies. Just take them out, and I think I've mentioned before that you can roadie run vault into stab execution. But anyway, once the second drone is dead, what you want to do is cross approximately where that tripwire point was, to the left over there as you approach the gulf. And now we're going to be trying, as it says on the top left, to destroy the turret. And I've never liked this part. It's completely fair, but it's got way too much ambiguity for me because of the well, first of all, do you see the damage HUD in the middle of the screen? It's just there to add a little tension to the situation. You don't outright get killed unless you over and over and over and over fail to kill the turret. Like if you miss it, like if it takes you like 15 times or more, then they are going to finish you off and you're going to fail the objective. And it's not because it's not because you're getting killed. It's just because the objective, you're taking too long and it doesn't like that. So what I don't like about that is that you've got to kind of find a sweet spot so that the boulders that you're flinging across the gulf, see, what I think it is that it wants you to fling a boulder so that it arcs around the tower and hits the turret to the left. And it's just, and if it's not that, then it kind of lets you win by hitting the tower enough. I'm not really sure exactly what it is. Let's see what it is. Finding the sweet spot is essential here. And where is that sweet spot? I don't know. It's too hard to say with any, certainty where it is because, unless I give you a screenshot of exactly where I was aiming. Maybe right there? Did that do anything? Yeah. See what happened? And that maybe could have happened on my first throw if I had found that sweet spot, but finding the sweet spot is the key to defeating that section. And now they don't give you the courtesy of giving you a checkpoint, so you could have done all of that hassle for nothing if perhaps you decide to cross this pipe over here and enemies put you down. That's what happened to me, actually, almost. I didn't let it happen. I fell back. So if you rewatch that footage, it was the rock arcing around the tower and then hitting the turret. I think it's just badly designed. it's conveyed in a very ambiguous manner as to what exactly in the hell you're supposed to do. I mean, yeah, it says destroy the turret, but you know, I don't know. It has to do with the whole the wind and everything, and lining up. I do know this. You need to position the reticle like like a little bit like, so say for instance like a little bit right of center, and all the way, pretty much, if I remember correctly. Hold it all the way before you release. So anyway, so a tough first fight, and then an ambiguous, somewhat difficult section that follows it, and then you'll be put into the first checkpoint over here, and it's just going to give you a kind of a taste of what this chapter is like. It's pretty rough. Okay, on to the next section over here. You guys know what I was thinking when I was playing this? Is that this is where Gears of War is really at its best. There's a brand new soundtrack over here that I was just asking myself, where has this music been the entire game? This music is absolutely wonderful. Anyway, do you see that thing right there that I was just aiming at? Not Kate. That just to clear all of the confusion, that thing is the screamer. Yes, you can kill it, but I think what it meant on the game's wikia is that, and by the way, it's inevitable that the screamer comes out. Somebody's going to hit it. Doesn't matter. I think it just bursts automatically, to tell you the truth. But what was I saying? Yeah, the screamer. You can kill it, but it's not going to fend off the onslaught of upcoming juvies. So just take care of the sniper. His sniper rifle should fall down here. It's bullshit. It stays up there. That's the sort of dynamic gameplay that I would like to see. Why doesn't his long shot fall down here? Also, it can be confusing when an enemy falls over in the wind, because it can look like they're down but not out, DBNO, but they've actually just been moved around by the wind a little bit. So you can get, I've actually got killed because I've been trying to run up to somebody who I thought was DBNO, and he was only, he was clearly not that, but he was just getting thrown around by the wind a little bit. Do you see where the teammates are right now? At least Kate and Marcus, I think it is. Well, I know it looks like Marcus. I can't tell, but see where they are right now? At the beginning part of this fight. And it's a thing of absolute beauty to see chunks and debris and grubs just flying. I know they're not technically grubs, but where your teammates are at the beginning of this fight, if you're ever at a bad angle, it's an automatic death sentence over there where they're at. So you want to definitely stay behind the sandbag. Stay behind the sandbag. See where the enemies are running to now? Right over there to the left. Like, that's a horrible spot to be. So just wanted to let you know, because I was over there one time and I got my ass butchered. So this whole time, if you just want to follow in my footsteps, again, this whole time, it's basically just we're just collecting torque bow rounds, or we're not using our secondary weapon, the torque. We've got 8 right now. Just don't use the torque. It's up to you though. If you want something else, but the torque bow is, I think, you could properly say that it's the most powerful weapon in the game. An active torque bow round is, at an enemy's weak spot, you can't do more damage than that. So this whole chapter can be dealt with the Lancer up until the boss. I mean, the Lancers, see? Damn. There goes some chunks. But this music that is playing, and I know the decibel level is really low, but you might not be able to hear it, but this music, where was this music the entire game? It's really terrific, And I personally might welcome a Gears of, hell, I would definitely welcome a Gears 5. And just to be clear, why I was calling this game Gears 4 is just because it's just not. It just the ragtag team that you use. It's just it doesn't invoke the same sort of severity that the original games had. That's why I was calling it Queers 4. Um, Also, wanted to talk a little bit, just for a moment, where my infatuation with Gears of War started. It was actually the genesis of the whole infatuation was when Dan and John used to have their Wiki Game Guides channel. John Tar and Dan something. They had a really good rapport, and I would often really enjoy watching their playthroughs. And I watched their Gears of War 2 and 3 guides on insane difficulty, and like when I was watching, I think it was usually John who was doing the gameplay. Dan was just like they were both commentating it after the fact, but I really enjoyed watching the two of them. And but if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't have even started a channel. So that's just where that started from. But what I was basically trying to say. Oh, and by the way, fuck this shit right here. This is the worst part of the game right over here. Probably took me like at least 5 tries to do this. We gotta push to that substation. We gotta push to that substation. Fuck you and fuck this. You know what I was saying about it being the best part of Gears? What I was also going to say is that when you're really in the zone, when you're getting all your actives for yourself in, and when you're just having pure clean fun, there's just nothing like it. It's really fun. But that's the best part of Gears, and what we just did is the worst part. So yeah, we're gonna be on the boss over here, and since you do get less ammunition on this difficulty, I don't believe that it's possible to, and I'm pretty sure you cannot get to the boss with 12 torque rounds. But if you get there with 8, then you can easily get up to 12 and checkpoint yourself with 12. And I like this boss fight, honestly. I know a lot of folks don't like it. They have a problem with it. I think it's a really good boss. It should have been the final boss of the game somehow. Because the final boss of this game is, I think it's just, I don't know if I would call it junk, but I don't like it. It's just weirdness, and I'd rather just do something like this boss fight over here. And you guys all know how much I hate lackeys, but if I were to write a paper on this boss fight, like for like an essay at school, it would probably be titled "In Defense of Lackeys," because this boss fight over here, it really wouldn't be too much with lackeys, without lackeys, excuse me. So what we're going to be doing over here, they're basically instructing you on what you're going to be doing on the boss fight. You're going to be exposing these cores to shatter the crystals on the Swarmac's body, and I don't know, expose, I guess expose would be a good word. Expose some blisters that you need to pop in each session. There's 3 sections, and each of them has a really good checkpoint. So it's a, whether you or not you don't like the boss fight, it's well checkpointed, and even though it has lackeys, I'm going to show you guys a really good technique of dealing with these lackeys, because I hardly noticed the lackeys. The main thing I noticed was the juvies at first. Like, there's a lot of juvies, because at one point there's a screamer that calls up all the juvies, and you've got to prioritize getting into a good spot. You can give your teammates one of these long shots if you want, but I'm telling you guys, definitely come with the torque bow and save the torque bow for the 3rd round. Save as many as you want. You only need technically 2 torque bow rounds for the technique I'm going to show you, and basically we're gonna do some head popping of the 2 scions that swarm, the Moltres scions. So this is the beginning of the fight. You need to go to 2 stations and throw levers. So I'm first going to go over to this one, which is, I think, the harder one to deal with because of the cover and the proximity of the Swarmac to you. So what I'm going to do basically is I'm going to preemptively destroy some blood blisters and just get this screamer to spawn, so that while I'm dealing with the Swarmac, I don't have to deal with screamers, because there's nothing worse than a screamer in this game. because what happens with a screamer, every juvie pretty much in the room comes after you. And it's not a big deal unless you're distracted trying to do a task like beat a boss. So I'm gonna just come up to here and mow down every one of the juvies that runs up the stairs over here. I don't know if we've actually spawned a screamer. I just know that there were a couple pods over here, and I do know that there's a lot of juvies, but it's only, I think, on this first phase, maybe the second phase. I mean, there's always the potential for juvies to spawn with the blisters, but that's my first concern. Just take care of all the juvies. If you hear a screamer, prepare for an onslaught of juvies, and then start shooting the core. And when it glows bright yellow, you can stop shooting. You can just stop. So just stop shooting. It saves you ammunition. It saves you the potential for getting killed. I wish there was a turbo mode in this game too for basic movement, because I know the gears are way down by their uniforms, but they go a little bit too slow in my opinion. But to get a checkpoint, you have to throw 2 levers and burst 2 sets of blisters on the Swarmac. And he's got one right where his dick would be. The guy's got no dick, man. Even I have a dick, even if it's only half an inch. But I'm just kidding, guys. I'm definitely not getting this video monetized. I don't care, Why would I care about getting a video monetized? It's gonna make me 15 cents. Just kidding. Anyway, guys, so it's your choice. You can go to any one of the stations that you want to, but the order of the stations, I just like to get the hard thing out of the way first. Okay, so there's one blister popped. Now we need to pop the other blister. If you've played Gears, you've met with Brumax. This is a Swarmac. He's got crystals on his body that they can only be shattered. Basically, he's indestructible unless you throw the switches and destroy the transformer cores. And then once you destroy the transformer cores, then the blisters are accessible. And then it's just a matter of getting to a proper position so that he's not firing directly at you. Because if he's firing directly at you, you're going to be turned to mulch pretty much. So you need to get to a place where A, he's not firing at you, and B, where it's a pretty good place so that you can aim properly and shoot the blisters. So it's a pretty simple task. You just wait until he stops firing and just roadie run from place to place. And this is the first of the 3 phases too. The boom shot's really good actually, because you're gonna see now on the 3rd phase, the head popping of the scions. It took me like an hour, like maybe not an hour, but like it's no easy feat to pop the 2 heads of the scions. So I did manage to pop both their heads in one try, because if you miss, it's over. They're gonna turn you to mulch. But I will show you guys how to deal with it, or at least I'll tell you how to deal with it if you're not able, or if you don't want to put up with trying to head pop them. And it's not going to work with the long shot either, because you can't instantly kill them with the long shot. It doesn't work. Okay, so this is the 2nd power station. Throw the lever, and now we just need to destroy the 2nd transformer to weaken the Swarmac, like it says. One of the reasons too that you don't want to overshoot it, it's not really that you're wasting ammo, because there's so much ammo around here. There's enough to do 2 Swarmacs, but basically, you don't want to be firing too long. Why risk further exposure and risk death? Once you know that it's going to blow up anyway. Okay, so there's the 1st checkpoint. Now this is the 2nd checkpoint. I'm gonna head up to this location and put a frag grenade down or 2 to stave off some juvies. This substation's a bit awkward too, so I always save the safest ones for the second ones that I do. And what's going to happen over here is that juvies are going to run up the stairs for you. Marcus is going to get in your way a little bit. He might fall in combat too. But here's the thing. And it's always really, I fucking hate when the characters admonish you for shooting them. It's like, I can't help it, you motherfucker. It's like, and I want the character dialogue on. I just don't want to hear that. Look at that. 2 boom shots took care of a blister. Pretty damn good. I also hate when you switch weapons with something and then what you switched with originally disappears off the face of the map. It's really obnoxious. There's also a Queers 4 update today, and I'm almost positive that it didn't address this whole crashing to desktop issue. I'll report back with you after a couple days of testing it, but I'm pretty sure it didn't fix the problem. I haven't looked through all the patch notes. So, basically, I just went up there, guys, to kill the juvies safely, to throw the switch, and to make sure that it's just too hard to deal with juvies down here. So it's always best to funnel juvies. However, before we get a final checkpoint, after this session of popping the blisters, you're going to be tasked with one further thing, and that is to throw a final switch in this session, and then you get a checkpoint. So that's all you've got to do to get the 3rd checkpoint. So here it is. Just keep. Oh, also, it's a good idea to replace all frag grenades and max out your ammo when you know you're going to get a checkpoint, so that you don't have to do it every time. So you want to checkpoint yourself with max ammo and max frag grenades, and ideally anything you want, just max it out so that when you get your checkpoint, you're completely ready to go, because there's nothing worse. And make sure all your guns are reloaded. And basically, his wrist rockets are extremely deadly, and anytime that he growls, that's when you want to make absolute double sure that you're behind cover, you're behind something, and clearly out of his way of any missiles. You've got a roof over your head, something, because when he growls, he's going to fire a barrage of missiles, and those are instant death on insane difficulty. So you can imagine, it's the same deal on this difficulty. So anyway, I'm gonna pick up a little bit more ammo. We're still trying to pop this final blister over here, and then once we do that, we can just run up to one of the towers and throw the switch, and then we'll get a checkpoint. And then it's going to checkpoint you down here, so you will be noticing a crossfade after that. Okay, there's one thing I need to address, because just a second or two ago, there was an edit that you might have been confused about. What happened there, that was the closest match cut that I could do for the footage. I went up to the tower to the right, thinking that was the tower that I needed to go to. So when I went up there, obviously I couldn't interact with the lever because I already been up there. So I was just editing out me going up to the wrong station. So that's all that edit was. Okay, so to get your checkpoint, all you've got to do is come up to, if you're following exactly in my footsteps, it would be to this station. But you need to just go to any one of the final stations that you're going to be making your final stand on, and just shoot the transformer core and just wait. Wait it out, you'll get your checkpoint. And now I'm going to switch to the torque bow and run over here. 1 time out of 10, the Swarmac will kill you. So the tricky thing about this is that it's not easy to do this. To pull off 2 headshots like that took me 45 minutes of trying, guys. So if you don't want to try to do that, what you can do is just you can wait behind cover over here until they're a little bit closer to you. But then you risk the drones getting a little bit too close for you. So what you can do is try to get one headshot and then just fall back, and then just frag tag, and then deal with any of the drones, because the Scion that you don't kill, or the Scions, they don't come up here. but you're gonna have to deal with their mulcher fire. And with drone fire, Sormac fire, and mulcher fire, you're going to be really hard pressed to find many good opportunities to kill people. But head popping those two scions, that was just something that I wanted to take care of, because I wanted to see if I could accomplish it, and I did. So again, if you don't want to do that strategy, you can consult my insane guide and see how I dealt with it. But I think you can do it. I'm not good at aiming very well. You know, if it takes a person 45 minutes, they're not good at aiming. So you're a better aimer than I am. You can do it. And now I'm extremely nervous because even though you did that to the scions, if you did head pop both of them, you could still get instantly killed to missiles if you're unfortunate. You can still get killed to drone fire. So even if you do pull off those two headshots, there's no guarantee that you're not going to get instantly killed by something. So I can understand that you might not want to do that. So what you can do is, like I said, you can fall back a little bit, wait till those guys are a little bit closer. You can frag tag their grenades. Any drones, even if they're ultra drones, they're not going to not get killed by a frag tag. They still get killed by frag tags. And then just fortify yourself. Set up grenades on the stairs, and just take care of any outstanding drones. And there's a Marksa up here too. So if you're having a hard time aiming from a far distance like I am, you can use the Marksa. Hell, I'm even resorting to the snub. I felled an enemy over here, and his teammate picked him up. Unfortunate that he got away. Recovered a little bit of his health. So why the defense of the lackeys? I just think that it's fun to be able to try to anticipate where they're going to come and take care of them in skillful ways. It's one thing with the Gears 3 boss. That boss didn't need lackeys, and it shouldn't have had lackeys. And it's just a different story here. Because look how, you're really safe up here. The missiles are not going to hit you, pretty much. And basically the biggest threat right now is the drones, their gunfire, because they're pretty close. This one's pretty close to me, and I was hoping that they would run up the stairs. Hell, I would invite them to run up the stairs because there's two frag tags over there for them. But I don't think any tried to rush me, and it's probably because the scions are out of the picture. I know I got rushed last time, and I did not do the strategy of the two head poppings of the scions. But so what I would suggest is just try your hand at the head popping. If it doesn't work, I've got an insane guide walkthrough, and it can show you. And people say they have a hard time finding my playlists. No, it's ridiculous. If you type in my name, just type in Bic Benedict, and any guide you want, it comes up. It comes up for me every time. I'm also preemptively shooting that just in case there was a juvie in there. So do you notice? You can tell how nervous I am, right? Because I'm missing all these shots. I'm being horrible over here because I knew that I wanted to preserve this footage. This is all the same footage, so I was pretty much praying that this would work because I wanted to show off my two headshots that I got over there. Because and if you're playing with mouse and keyboard, like getting those two headshots is probably really simple. So I'm using a controller. I've got a disadvantage. I wish I knew how to use a mouse to play video games and had that kind of dexterity, but I don't. I simply don't. So, in defense of lackeys, so you're defending lackeys now. Well, not all the time. No, definitely not. Normally when I think of the word lackey, the Mirai boss fight from Ninja Gaiden, Sigma, comes to mind, because that boss definitely doesn't need lackeys. Like, that boss is hard enough without lackeys. Fuck that, lackeys on Mirai. And I know certain versions and certain difficulties don't have the lackeys, but, you know, Master Ninja does. Look at this, father and son shooting side by side. It's pretty cool. You have to admit that it's pretty cool, but the number of innovative things that I was just watching my old Gears of War 3 guide from 2012, and there's so many interesting things going on all the time in that game. That a game like this, it's so by the numbers. It's not funny. There's hardly anything interesting and innovative in this game. I'm serious. Just look at Gears of War 3. Like, look at all the different things that are going on all the time. The interesting level design. Like, this game just plays it so safe. Which is kind of what I'm doing right over here. I don't want to get butchered after I got those 2 headshots. So, if you're having a hard time aiming with the torque bow, I would definitely recommend the boom shot. It's got a generous spread of damage to it, and you know, it's just got more flexibility. And notice there weren't too many juvies. I mean, if there were juvies, if there was a screamer in every phase with you know, calling forth all the juvies, then I would not be in defensive lackeys. But it was only, I think, one phase that there was a screamer. There was another phase where there was some juvies, but there were, I don't recall any juvies on this phase. Do you? You know, and only one screamer, so that's pretty good. So I think this boss is a good one. It's definitely more interesting than the one in the Ultimate Edition on those extra levels. Remember that? But anyway, guys, this is going to be the final segment of the boss fight right over here. The moment that the slash comes through the objective, that's going to be the end of the video. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope in turn that it helped you out defeating the Swarmak on this hardest difficulty. If in fact it is the hardest, we'll have a debate about that at the end of the guide. But until then, I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Take care.